What's going on, everybody? This is RavenSky at Keystone Farm Gardens. What you're looking at here is our Heirloom Black Beauty eggplants that are finally starting to bloom. And we spent the day actually pruning all of these and cutting everything back to expose the flowers and to allow the plant to breathe a little bit better with the airflow, and also for when we do our fogging on the plants, the fogger can actually blow through the plants and get up under the leaves. So as you can see, there's a lot of light that was underneath those plants. And actually here's the second crop of our eggplants. This side I haven't done any pruning yet. I was actually right in the middle of pruning this side. So you can kind of see my eggplants have got a lot of air in between them now. Only on this side though, I haven't done the other side. Well, maybe you can see it from this direction here. Let's see if I can zoom in. So if you notice, the left side I've pruned and the right side I have not. There's a lot more air on the left side, and I'm trying to get more of an airflow on these plants. So that way the plant's got a little bit more room to grow and will actually encourage the growth of the eggplant itself. And this is where I'm currently sitting at right now. And if anybody's got eggplants, I'm gonna kind of sit here and go through this. So the first thing I'm really looking for is, well, let's take a look at this real quick. You notice how I've got these eggplants. I've got them I've cut them to a bouquet for the most part. So they've got this little bouquet look, and all of the foliage on the bottom has actually been cut away. So I'm trying to achieve this same thing here. So this is kind of a little bit of a cluster F. So the first thing I'm trying to do is actually cut away these bottom leaves, the low-hanging leaves, anything that's within my eyesight. And I'm trying to do it about 8 to 10 inches from the bottom of where the stalk is growing all the way up to about 8 inches, as I'm really trying to clear that out. And that will prevent bugs from getting in here and wanting to crawl up, or encouraging them to crawl up. So I'm trying to get all this foliage out here. And this is really the same way that we prune tomato plants. Because there's not actually any fruit growing down here. The fruit doesn't start growing until, well, let's see, on this one it's starting here, but these are just little plants. So this isn't really a full grown plant yet. So you're looking at maybe this little bud here. So you're looking at like maybe 10 inches before you see your first fruit. So pretty much everything that's below your first fruit on your main stalk, you'll want to start pruning away and clearing the forest away here. So we'll get this one out of the way. As you can see, we've got the main stalk, and then we've got these sucker branches that are actually growing out of here. You got this one here, you got this one to the right that's coming out, and then down, if you look down here, you've also got this sucker branch that's kind of growing here. So really you've got 1, 2, 3, you've got 4, you got one stalk, and you've got 3 main sucker branches that are kind of growing off. And then as you move up the plant, you'll notice that you've got even more sucker branches growing, like this one here. This is actually coming off the main stalk as well. We're gonna keep this branch in there though. We're not gonna try to cut it out. So I don't want anything growing too low at the bottom. So even like these little baby plants that are kind of growing off you can get those off. We don't need those there. We want this, when this gets watered, we don't want any water jumping up on these leaves, because the stagnant water on these leaves actually makes them rot. And then also, as time goes by, the plant actually draws nutrients from these bottom leaves, and the bottom leaves actually kind of start dying and getting useless. And not only that, look, there's not very much sunlight on this leaf, which means it's not really producing a lot of nutrients for the plant. It's kind of helping the plant, but not really. We really don't need it. So if we cut this one off, then the nutrients that were going to go to that one are now going to go to everything else. So that actually encourages the growth of the plant. So we're cutting that. And then let's see here, there's another big leaf. So you've got this kind of like a little bit of a cluster here. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this big leaf off. Cut that off right there, that'll come off. And then what else we got going here? We're gonna take a look at this branch here. I'm not super crazy about this branch. I don't think it's really necessary. It's not going to get as much light because it's actually, look, it's underneath all of the rest of the other plant, all the rest of the leaves. And the only thing it's really going to do is try to search for light, which is the reason why the stalk is so long on here, because it's actually trying to outpace the other branches. So unfortunately, that's not going to work. But instead of cutting it all the way off, we're actually going to cut it right where that little bud is. See that little bud that's right here? That is a potential new sucker, I believe. Yeah, it's a new sucker branch. So we want to cut right above that because we actually want to leave that. Because in 3 or 4 months after this plant has produced all of its fruit, and after this plant has gone all the way up here and produced its fruit, that little bud is actually going to potentially replace, because as the main plant grows, that little bud will also start growing and start coming out here, and potentially that bud might end up taking place of this whole main branch or this whole main stalk. Once this stalk is done growing for me, I might cut that whole stalk, and then that little baby sprout right there might actually take its place. So I want to save 5 or 6 of these little buds down here at the bottom on each one of these stalks. Like this one here, you want to save this one, you want to save that one, you want to save the little baby that's in between here, and you even want to save like this one here. So if you save those, as your plant grows, then you'll want to start cutting off some of the main stalks because you don't want it to grow 10 feet high or whatever it does. And then and it'll stop producing fruit at some point. So if we cut those, then these little babies will actually take their places and the plant will continue to grow. Now, I'm not an expert on this, on eggplants, but I know that they grow very similar to tomato plants. So a lot of this is kind of theory as far as the eggplant is concerned, and as far as my knowledge with the eggplant. So I'm going based off of what I intuitively understand about plants and how they're growing, since I do this 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, for 6 months. So you can learn quite a bit if you do something like that. So the other idea is I'm trying to get I want the airflow to be able to go to the bottom of the plant, and the airflow to kind of like swirl and be able to go up, and move the plant leaves. Airflow is really key with these plants. Also, the more foliage that we can get out of the way, the more these branches can actually grow, and some of these other leaves can get bigger. So looking at it from back here, we've got a little bit of for the most part this looks pretty good down here. So now I'm just kind of like looking at the top portion of this, and if you notice, you can't really, even with the camera, you can't really see through the plant. There's a whole lot of leaves kind of blocking the blocking your view through the plant. So we want to cut back some of the branch, or some of the leaves, not the sucker branches necessarily, not yet, but some of these leaves, like this leaf right here. We're going to go ahead and snip that, get that out, and that lets a lot more light in. And then any leaves that you actually see that, like this one here, any leaves that you see that are actually not getting any light, they're like literally stuck in the shade. There's no sense in having them in there. Like, just cut them out. And you can tell, I mean, the sun is telling you where all the light is coming in at. And of course, this is the end of the day too, so there's a little bit of a skew as far as where the light is concerned. But as you do this more and more, you'll actually be able to find the leaves that you want to get out. So this one, I'm going to get this one out as well, this big one. So this will come out. So now look at that, you can see right through the plant now. So this plant is starting to look a little bit better. I think I'm going to leave this big one on here for now, even though I could take it off, but I don't think it's completely necessary at the moment. I think I'll take this one off as well. This is a long video. I guess it kind of would be if it's a little bit more of an instructional on how to. When I was doing my first research with eggplants online, there was very few videos about people actually sitting here and cutting the whole plant and explaining everything. They were just like kind of coming in here and going, oh yeah, just cut this little branch and this little branch and cut this little branch. And there was like a 3 or 4 minute video, but they really weren't explaining like the beginning to the end and like what the end goal was with your with the eggplant. So let's stand up here, take a look at it let's look at it from this view here. So you can kind of see there's a lot of spaces in between here. Like, you can see down in between, down to the stalks. And that's what we want. We want to be able to see down there. You basically want to get a 360 view. And within this 360 view, you want to be able to see light going all the way down to the bottom. You want to see holes in there. Coming around here, and we can see through this plant now. See that, and that means more light, more airflow, less potential for bugs, because the plant will actually be healthier, and that boosts this plant's immune system, so it can actually help fight off the bugs by having the airflow and having more sunlight. So that is a really healthy prune for a tomato plant. So I'm going to do the rest of these here, and that's really about it, I think. If you all have any questions or anything in particular, you can go ahead and throw them down in the comments at the bottom. Again, this is RavenSky, Keystone Farm Gardens. I appreciate you all hanging out, liking, and subscribing. And I hope the sun's not too much for you. It is at the end of the day, and oops, here we are, back again. All right, everybody, I appreciate you all coming out. It's RavenSky, Keystone Farm Gardens. Peace out.